Port, headed down to the ticket counter to wait for everybody else.
Just moving in there, girls. Well, as fast as it ever moves.
Waiting for people to come to give them their tickets.
Yeah, people like this.
A herd of yellow shirts.
Here's a picture of you taking a picture of me.
It
Okay.
sounds like a song or something, doesn't it?
Waiting for the flight to Cleveland.
No, but I play
We're in Cleveland at the airport, waiting to go to baggage claim. On the bus in Cleveland, going to Kirtland. This is the motel in Mentor, Ohio.
I would have sworn I gave you one. Why would you? Because the last time you were here, I thought I gave you.
Inside the motel.
You didn't come home with any. Okay. Then I am missing one.
Kind of a little sitting area here in the motel. Pretty cool.
Oh, the red button's up.
That's right.
It smells good.
So are we funneling out? It could happen, I guess.
We had dinner at the hometown buffet, and now we've come over to Kirtland, and this is the cemetery just north of the temple. Mary Judy Smith is buried here. Hiram's first wife is buried here. The prophet's twins are buried here. We don't know where. This home is where the prophet and Emma lived at one time.
Look at this one.
Context of the time in which he was doing everything.
Those women.
Well,
You didn't go.
well, we went over there because Rich wanted to get up.
I got them all. Just need numbers.
Well, I wish the walls could speak out when we go see it tomorrow.
The motel had punch and cookies for us after we came back from Kirtland. Breakfast in the motel. Loading up to go to church. It's my commentary.
There you go.
See, church-going people.
Es que eso es bueno porque este país es de migrantes. Viene mucha gente de otros países, no lo más latino. Vienen a visitarse con el espíritu, que son latinos. No nomás ellos vienen ilegales. Por México pasan muchos japoneses, alemanes.
Oh my gosh! I set the alarm. The catwalk walk. I set the alarm and it never went off.
Mary knocked on her door at 8:30.
No, I did that.
We're outside the church at Hiram. It's the John Johnson farm.
Yeah, I don't think that's in his job description.
We're gonna take pictures.
All I'm getting is dark.
Well, because of the light background,
Get one in here.
it won't work. I can tell you it won't work.
Before we go over there, I just want, I was thinking when I was sitting in church about Grandpa Amasa, if you read his account, you know, for those of you who were younger and don't remember when we were here before, he was living with his uncle, and his uncle was a
This is Elder Judd. Inside the Johnson home, the main kitchen. The home where the room where Joseph and Emma stayed.
Who would have thought?
There's toy clubs. You would be in those kind of mattresses.
This sign right here.
The Revelation room, Joseph's office. Just after the tour of the John Johnson home. Going on the Kirtland Temple tour. Just after the Kirtland Temple tour.
Mary?
Squeeze, squeeze. Turn this way and snug up to show you.
have bowel problems.
No.
Let's have
Yeah. Yeah, but you can't talk about it. Good.
Here we go.
We're practicing.
Glorious rest will then come, which prophets did foretell, when saints will reign with Christ day.
Ladies now.
Dear Lord, prepare my heart.
And evermore to
Okay, let it hang out.
We're going through Indiana.
You make a video.
It's my only hope to try to sing somewhere in that lower key because something started in it. I can't. Ain't no way I'm gonna reach the height.
We're watching the video of the cousins' trip from June of '99.
have to get old enough so she should get a job. You know, be able to work subsequently. Just get through that age because her biggest problem was her father. They called her problem, you know, oppositional death by
I think we're in Illinois right now.
control her father, control every aspect of her life. What do you think is going to happen? She'll have to figure that out. They've been so controlled all their life like that. They don't have a sense of the cool thing is who knows where it will land in the middle.
So she took a whole bottle of melatonin. Is this going on the video?
Yeah.
It's a rest stop about 100 miles from Springfield, Illinois.
Connor's all shredded. Put in the chips. What that is.
Somebody's coming up there, you either hit them or
Breakfast in the Holiday Inn Express in Springfield, Illinois.
No. She's like, can I help you?
Off the bus at the Lincoln home.
Yeah, but it's only a few blocks down. It's not very far.
You're on the boardwalk.
Take a look at each of the 10 rooms that they would have used each and every day. Start off in the floor.
Inside the Lincoln home.
Some wallpaper that you see in this room are replicas of what the Lincolns would have had. We know what they look like because a man by the name of Frank Leslie came to the home, did a magazine article on the Lincolns.
You're shorter.
The master bedroom.
Show sign of wealth. If you could afford to have fabric, to have your fabric touch the ground as that. If you head out this way, take a right all the way down to the corner.
After the Lincoln Library.
Yeah, it could have been the same got TV also. I don't know.
No, it was 14 years later.
I just never could figure out what it was.
It was after.
14 years?
Dad, yeah.
Well, there was one in the White House.
After his dad.
This is on our way from Springfield to New Salem.
That's the wrong way, so I guess not.
Pretty country in the New Salem Auditorium.
Root cellar? I think most every place would have had
Restroom, then you need to go to the bathroom.
Here.
I want a picture with you too. Inside the Lincoln tomb. We're now at Carthage. The theater and the visitor center at Carthage.
This one's my bench.
Met a Colonel Dunn who was on his way to Carthage to collect the Illinois issued weapon. I'm gonna leave this open just until we hear another tour, and as soon as we hear the tour, we have to close it because of the noise factor that goes on. Okay, but it's.
Rick, just a minute, it's resetting itself. Hang on. Is Betty coming? Betty coming? No.
Shut up. One more. You gotta see. You guys are like, okay, well, thanks for calling. Yum.
Oh yeah, I think you.
Brother and sister Shisher were good friends of Jack and Mary's.
I would come here if I could only pick one place and come.
We just got off the bus here by the temple in Nauvoo.
How are you, Joe?
We're down for the program down by the riverside.
On the drums.
join with me in saying the Pledge of Allegiance?
It's down.
Uncle Joe, Uncle Jim, all around that fire with bigger and him. Boy, that music thrills me.
Coming out of our condominiums here in Nauvoo. This is Grandpa John's restaurant. All these yellow shirts.
It does?
You never.
But it says you can do it as long as you don't create too much pressure.
Oh.
This is the old Nauvoo burial ground.
I woke up at 3 hours.
Right.
Hey, I can't see everybody's faces up here. Okay, make sure I get your faces.
Just take one here before you want it. Okay, thank you.
Right over.
One more time. Go around one more time.
The picture taking through.
So we're doing spouses. You have to get
Do spouses? Yeah. Just behind you. Can you? And we'll just get behind you.
Okay.
Daniel?
First cousins and spouses.
All right, 1, 2, 3, suck it up. Suck it up and suck it in. Suck it in.
1, 2, 3. Garrett, you're at this end.
Garrett, you're the little one. 70s, 80s, 90s.
Make sure the numbers show.
You gotta twist, you guys. Come on, Nick. Guys, you can.
Abby can't see your number. There you go.
Say cheese.
Fuzzy pickles.
Just smile this way.
Say I'm a geek.
Abby, your number's really close behind his shirt.
Say I'm a geek.
Second photo's $5.
Nope, wrong way.
1, 2, 3. Hold the geek part. Good job.
That is so cute. Look at all.
Get ready. 1, 2, 3.
Where do we look?
Anywhere you want.
All you have to do is just not be picking your nose. Pick a central point.
Silencio.
Get a picture of Juan and
Hands down.
Just wanted to tell a little bit about the monument that we did for Grandpa Partridge. 10 years ago this month, I guess, we came here on a cousin's tour. And Bryce Finlinson, who's Angie's first cousin, he and his wife Edith were on a mission here. And he grabbed Kaylin and I and said, "Come here, I want to show you something." And he drove us out here in their car. We didn't know anything about this place. And they had just fixed it up. It used to kind of be weeds and everything, but the missionaries fixed it all up and put the grass and I think cut limbs. And anyway, it was just such a gorgeous place. And so we just chatted, and he indicated that didn't know who all was buried here and stuff. But after church then that day, we brought everybody here on the bus and just walked up here and just milled around. It was a very kind of serene place. When we were leaving here, I just kind of hung around and everybody walked down the trail, and I was right here, and I had this impression, I mean, very, very strong impression of somebody standing beside me. And Bryce, when we had come out here earlier, he had indicated that Lee Day, who's Aunt Lucy's boy, had been out here with his family and talked about, how come we don't get a monument to Grandpa Partridge or something? And Bryce said, well, go back and tell President Faust, you know. And later on I found out that he went and told Uncle Jim there was somebody's funeral or something, and he met him and he says, well, that's a good idea. When you get things ready, let me know. It was just kind of that way. So it kind of died off, and Bryce, he had mentioned to me about Lee's conversation with him about that. Didn't mean much, we didn't talk about it or anything. Well, anyway, back to where everybody's leaving and this impression. And if you've had these, you know what I'm referring to, but I mean, if somebody walks up behind you in real life, you can sense somebody. That's what it was. It was very, very strong. And I got the feeling that it was Grandpa Partridge. Don't know why, I just did. And I just stood and looked and saw nothing. And I just stood there for maybe half a minute to a minute or so in it, and then just decided to leave. And as I went down the path, I felt, well, they're watching me. I mean, it was just very compelling to me, so I turned around and looked back. It was that significant, and saw nothing. And anyway, that was that. And that was June, and it was later in the year. This is 1996, so later in the year, President Faust calls me and says, we want to do a memorial to Grandpa Partridge, and we want you to be in charge. And later on I found out that Lee, in that conversation with President Faust, this is something I forgot, I guess, at the funeral, just said, well, yeah, Matt should be in charge, and let me know when you, well, I don't know anything about that at the time. And then President Faust calls, and he says, I want you and George to be on the committee. And they had another gentleman who was from Emily, who's one of the daughter's family who married President Young, one of her descendants be on the committee, and then Edward Partridge Jr.'s descendants. And so we had a committee representing all of the children who had posterity. And we met, and we go into 1997, and the one was an architect, and so he submitted drawings. It was too big, it was too much, and the First Presidency was very concerned because Uncle Jim said, well, there's a lot of prominent families in the church who have people buried here who have nothing to show. So they were concerned about that, but because of Grandpa Partridge's position as first bishop, he thought we could do it okay if it was appropriately done. So we come about to April of '97, and Uncle Jim calls me and says, in our meeting, I talked to President Hinckley again about, us doing something, and he said, let me think about it. And Uncle Jim said, that means it's gone into the black hole. I'll get it out. But I need drawings of this plot of ground, because they're trying to figure out where we could put such a thing, because this monument was here. So, unbeknownst to us at the time, President Hinckley was coming into Nauvoo the next week or so to dedicate that I call it a gazebo, but that's down at the end of Parley Street, which lists all the names of people who passed away just as you go into the Mississippi River. And then he was leaving here and going over to winter quarters to dedicate the visitor center that time. And President Faust got him and said, well, since you're going to be in Nauvoo, could you just kind of take a minute and drive by the old burial ground and see if you could see where we could put this monument? And President Hinckley's response was, I'm only going to be there 2 hours. I just don't know how I could do that. Well, we were stalled, and we were on a timeline. Grandpa Partridge's birthday's in May. We knew we were going to miss that. His death date is in, no, he died in May. His birth date is in August. So we thought, well, there's a good focal point. Bryce and Edith are leaving the mission the first week of September. So we've got these time issues that we were dealing with, and we were very concerned because we needed to get the monument done. We needed to get it out here. We needed to get it in. We had to hit a window that President Faust could actually come and do the dedication. So we had all these factors, and then when he called about President Hinckley's response, we were wondering if we were going to do this. Well, a short time later, we knew that President Hinckley had come out. It was in the church news. We didn't know whatever. We still didn't know they'd had this conversation. And one day President Faust called and said, I have pictures of the president standing by a tree stump saying, and he's standing just like this. This is where you can put it. So we figured then we were going to pull this off. That if we had enough influence on the other side to get the president of the church, we found out that he just, from wherever they landed, where I think it's not here in Nauvoo, but there's an airport, and they brought the plane in. He had them drive right to here. They got out. He looked around, went over there, stood. His secretary took 2 pictures of him standing there, and they gave them to President Faust when he got back and said, this is where you can put it. So then we were now ordering the stone and figuring out what to put on it and everything. And then we got concerned because of the time frame. They didn't do the stone in Salt Lake. They decided to do it at the quarry, I think in Minnesota is where it was. And things were not working. It just wasn't clicking. We were waiting on people. Oh, another sidelight. The head of the missionaries, the chief missionary, I don't know, Bryce and Edith, their supervisor. I even forget his name now, but anyway, we were trying to work through Bryce about this, but he was getting no support because he wasn't supposed to be involved in anything out here. And he'd go appropriately to this elder and say, well, we're wanting to do this thing. Well, you can't do it. So I'm going to President, Bryce is calling me, I'm calling President Faust, and he says, I told the presiding bishopric, and they're supposed to relay the message, so we're going around like this and trying to get Bryce so he can do stuff here, and at the same time not step on everybody's toes, you know, and things like that. Well, this went on for a couple of months. I mean, it was bad, and we just couldn't get things done out here. And so I called again, and I says, we're having trouble. We just cannot get things done out there. And I don't know what happened, but something happened, and this gentleman came to Bryce and said, we're putting in this thing, and you need to be involved, and so on. And we thought, whatever. So that was good. We finally got that through, and so now Bryce had free reign to move forward and to get it dug, and they did the footing and foundation and stuff for the stone. And then the stone was to be ready the Friday before the Thursday or something that we were putting it in. And it was to be delivered the day before we were having the dedication. So we've got this window of President Faust coming, and we weren't sure the stone was going to be ready. And so we were very concerned, so we were looking for alternatives, and he was now about a month out for his next window, and Bryce and Edith were home, and he said, I need Bryce to be there. We want him there. So I said, I'll just fly him back if we have to. We were just these logistics. Well, come to find out that the stone, we got it ready, and then that night that they were to drive from there to here, their
From Minnesota to
yeah,
Didn't
their
they get part way?
well, they have a little winch or something to load them on and off. The motor burned out, and they're not in a city, so they go back to their shop, find another motor, put the two together, and make it work, and head to Nauvoo through the fog and the rain, drive all night. And we're about Wednesday or we're day before this is happening, and so there were just a lot of these things. And anyway, needless to say, it got put in, and
What was the date?
August 27th, I believe, of 1997, which was his death, his birthday. Thank you. Yeah.
Matt, on the issue with the burial grounds, does the church own it?
Yes.
Oh, so the church owns it. That's why President Hinckley had to give the permission where to have it placed.
Yeah, and we knew that Grandpa Partridge was not buried here. I mean, the estimation of the historians is that he's not here, that they didn't bury people here until 1842, and he died in 1840. And so the prevailing theory is that he's buried on his property, which is just north of the Community of Christ Visitor Center. But there's no record of that. So anyway, the day
Tell
that...
them why, so the kids know.
Why what?
Why they because he was such a prominent member of the church, if they would have put a marker and all that stuff, they were fearful that the grave would have been dug up.
Oh, back then. Thank you. So the day that we came out and stayed in this little bed and breakfast on the road as we came out here. It was the one that was for sale off to the left, so I'll show you there's an investment for you. Anyway, we'll talk later. We were here, they had set up, I mean, once I guess the word came through about Bryce, he was now important. And they went extra mile, they put up a canopy, chairs, a speaker system, had a portable keyboard, and the summer missionaries, like the kids that performed last night, the one girl had arranged this song that we're going to sing, similar in nature to what Kaylin has done, of Grandpa Partridge's hymn that he wrote, and they sang it that day. Well, it just poured on us that day. It rained, so we were grateful for the canopy, and Uncle Jim and his entourage showed up, and I got my picture in the church news holding the umbrella over President Faust as we walked over to here and did the dedication. Bishop Burton was here, he spoke, and President Faust spoke, and I introduced him or something like that, and they sang. Anyway, is that all of the points that we remember about it? So.
Did it stop raining?
No.
It did during the dedication.
Oh yeah, later that day.
It did during the
stopped
dedication.
during President Faust's talk for a few minutes.
Oh, thanks.
They actually
President
flew my
Burton
mom
is
out
the
here too. It was one of the highlights to see that.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
Well, let me just say this about, it's not very often things like this happen, these impressions. I've had a few of my dad. Sometimes I sense Grandma Angie. The most recent, we went down to Seth's, Lime and Shimi's son's wedding in Reno. And I don't know who I was with, Cynthia, I guess, and Ron. And we went clear over into the far corner, remember, of the sealing room. And here's the witnesses in the sealer chairs. And I'm sitting there, and an impression comes over me of the family standing right there. I worry about what I say because I could be delusional.
No, you're not.
I miss gaps of my life, I have all these things, and so I always worry about that. But again, it was a very strong impression. You have Blaine and Ina, the grandparents there, Willis and Angie, the great-grandparents, and my dad, and, I don't know, Aunt Millie, Eddie, the others that were there, but it just seemed like they were just standing there during that proceeding. So I think the thing about all of this is these are all great and fun, but the whole thing that really matters is how we behave ourselves. I always worry about having to answer to Grandma Angie in particular, and because she and I got very close after I was in the mission field, and we did these family books, but I just can't go back to her and her say, well, let me see what the problem was, why you couldn't do what you were supposed to do. I mean, was the air conditioning in your house not working enough? Not enough TVs? I mean, did you not have enough food? Or, I mean, I don't have an excuse. I think about that all the time as to what I would ever say to her, but not to mention Grandpa Partridge, who died at a very young age, and all that they went through, and all of the other ancestors. I know we've mentioned those that are noted in church history, but there are just lots of them on all of our branches of family lines, and we're going to stand there and they're going to try to figure out what the problem was with those of us who had more than any of the children of God have ever had on this planet in its history. And I just say, I'm toast. If I can't behave, I don't have an excuse. I'll just have to see if the mountains will go ahead and fall on me and cover me up. Well, I hope that all of us, the purpose of this trip, that we take note of the heritage that we enjoy, and we never ever forget who we are now, but who it was that went on before, and the price they paid to provide us with what we have, and hopefully that will motivate our behavior to good. That's the point, is that if we can't figure out any other reason to behave, we can say we owe it to them. And sometimes we get ourselves in situations and there's circumstances that are leaning us to do something we shouldn't. We could say, I cannot do that. I just can't. Because the day's going to come, I'm going to answer for my behavior, and I'm just not going to deal with that. Not to mention, the most of all, the Savior and his atonement. We try to explain that one away when we just kind of throw it back in his face, because we say, well, yeah, I appreciate all that suffering and so on, but I kind of wanted to do my own thing, and I just said, no, all right. Well, anyway, may the Lord bless us to be true to our heritage and who we really are, and that we do things as we move along in our families, that you keep your families. We are now building our little units and stuff, that we do things to keep us going and help them to understand the great heritage we all enjoy. And I say this in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Let Zion in her beauty rise, her light begins to shine. Ere long her King will rend the skies, majestic and divine. The gospel spreading through the land, the people to prepare to meet the Lord, and in expansion
got your camera.
Okay. After your dad?
She's used to having the video recorder and you're supposed to talk.
My job.
Come on, Garrett, quit acting like a teenager.
There you go. Hands in our pockets or hands on our side? Side. Back.
Remember, no pockets.
No pockets.
Lisa didn't come to that one. Well, back to the bus. Going into Nauvoo. In the Nauvoo Visitor Center.
The body's underneath the spring house.
Right here.
Mm-hmm.
What's a spring house?
It's for keeping food generally. They would have been underneath the fence.
These are perch.
The old generation.
We're getting to that point.
They're real pretty.
I have one. My mom's still alive. My uncle's still alive.
During this ride, please remain seated because the ride can be a little bumpy at times. As a courtesy, and truly did become beautiful. The farmers living here, the landing, it said that Emma married Louis Spiderman and she died on April 30th in her 75th year. The mansion home here and purchased tickets to be on the...
We're going to a temple session this morning. We're on the bus headed from Nauvoo to Kansas City, and we're doing an operation taking stitches out of LaBelle's finger. Well, we aren't, but Rick is. And that's probably enough of that. Random shot.
You didn't have the 1 or the 14?
Interesting. Well, it's fun.
Plain rook. Kansas City Holiday Inn Express. Inside the Liberty Jail. Outside Liberty Jail.
Yeah, sounds good to me.
The reorganized temple at Independence.
Okay.
Em wants 12.50.
Well, we went to a ball game last night. Kansas City beat the Brewers 6-5, and then we went to church at the Shoal Creek Ward here in Kansas City. Now we're loading the bus. End of the tour.
So endless, I feel the sin. I wouldn't let my dear Savior in. Then Jesus came like a stranger in the night. Praise the Lord, I saw the light. I saw the light, I saw the light. No more darkness, no more night.
fun at the airport.
Jacket, please return to the exit door, gate 39 to
Group 2. The last farewell to Juan. Well, this is the end of our trip. We're here in Salt Lake City. Arrived safely. We appreciate everybody coming. So the end of Cousins Tour 2006. I thought I'd get on the video. Bye.